Hi everybody, it's Nikki here and welcome to today's video, which is my February reading wrap up. These were the books I read. Not many. Yes, I am fully aware that I'm very late posting this reading wrap up, but as you are probably aware if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you will know that March was not a good month. Not a good month at all. We're just gonna push it to a side. We are in April now. Do not look back. If you are too busy looking backwards, you will never know what's coming in front of you, and more likely to trip and fall in the future. So, yes, back in February, I was still really struggling with my reading. I was in a major slump and probably at the worst part of my reading slump. Good news is though, April is going a hell of a lot better already, and we're only the first week in, so I do feel like we are, like, I hit rock bottom in February. In March I was steadily making my way back up again, and now April, it's going good. It's going very good. So let's get straight into the review of the books that I read. I will not be giving you any synopses for any of these books unless I did not give you the synopsis in my Bookgammon TBR, which I will link for you in the description box below this video. But if you are interested in the synopses for any of these books, then Goodreads, Amazon, Waterstones, any bookseller website will probably give you a synopsis for any of these books if you just type in the search bar the name of the title or the author, and yeah, you can easily do your own research for the synopsis for these books. My wrap-ups are literally just giving you my review, my thoughts and opinions on the books. I don't feel the need to repeat myself on what the story's about if I've already spoken about that in my Bookgammon TBR. So the first book I read was actually an ebook, and that was Satan's Affair by, now we're questioning. Nope, I haven't written it down, so I will put it on the screen for you. Satan's Affair is it's a prequel in a duology. So there's the Satan's Affair is labelled as 0.5, and then Haunting Adeline is number 1, but it's only a duology. So it's a story and a prequel that make up the duology. Satan's Affair was a very short book. It was, again, just 197 pages on the ebook, so it was a very, very quick read. And my notes for this say, let's get my notes up, very explicit, gruesome in parts, but intriguing enough to finish. Not for the faint-hearted. The keywords in this is horror, dark romance, and funfair. Yes. I've heard that Haunting Adeline, which is obviously book 1 to this, is very dark, very, very gruesome. And Satan's Affair was also very similar. I do want to continue on reading Haunting Adeline. I do have that on my Kindle, so I would like to get to it relatively soon. The smut was, the smut was there. I liked it, considering I'm not a fan of horror or gruesome. I don't know, because it was only 200 pages, I didn't feel, I don't know, maybe as well because, you know, I was in a reading slump. I don't know whether that sort of made me sort of like whitewash it, kind of, not whitewash it, that's not the word I'm looking for. But I wasn't as affected by the gruesomeness because I was just literally trying to read and I wasn't thinking too hard about what I was reading. I just wanted to read. So yeah, I think because I wasn't like reading this all in one go, I was kind of like because please believe it was less than 200 pages, but it still took me ages to finish. Because I was slumping. I was only able to read like for 10 minutes at a time, and then I would put it down and I wouldn't pick it back up again for another day or two. So I don't feel like it really affected me as much as if I was in my normal reading mood and was trying to read it all in one go, and then the whole thing is like coming at me, she said. You know, so yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I did give this one a 3 stars, so not too bad. But definitely, before you even think about picking Satan's Affair up or Haunting Adeline, please read the trigger warnings. It is definitely not for the faint-hearted. No. People die. The next book I read was Holy Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is the 3rd and final book in the trilogy. What's the trilogy called? I can't remember what the trilogy is called. Is it the Book of the Ancestor? Yeah, Book of the Ancestor. So you had Red Sister, Grey Sister. Was it Red Sister first? Yeah, Red Sister, Grey Sister, and now Holy Sister. My notes for this say, the magic systems still no clearer. Dual timeline perspective threw me off. Not sure what was happening and when, to who. To be honest, I listened to the audiobook of this because, again, I was struggling. And sometimes when I'm struggling to read, I will listen to the audiobook as I read along to hope that the audio and the physical reading of it will help it to sink in better. But I was still lost and confused. Like, it's a good story, and I think I would really enjoy on a reread, but I just can't get the knack of that magic system. It's really, it's one of those tricky ones that I just couldn't get my head around. A little too convenient at times as well. The keywords for this is friendship, politics, and fighting nuns. I mean, that doesn't draw you in. I don't know what will. And my score for this was 3 stars again. I did listen to the audiobook on Scribd. So yeah, as I say, my ratings for these books may have been diminished because of the reading slump. So keep that in mind. So that was the second book I read. Was lost. Where's my book? The next book I read was for my Waterstones book club that I am a member of, and I try to attend every month. Obviously, sometimes life gets in the way, normally my mental health. But our book club pick for February was Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman. Now, I will give you a little bit of synopsis for this because I'm not sure I did give you a synopsis for this in my Bookgammon TBR, because when I film my Bookgammon TBR, we haven't always had our meetup at that point, so I will give you a quick synopsis of this one. London, 1799, Dora Blake lives with her uncle in what used to be her parents' famed shop of antiquities. And when a mysterious Greek vase is delivered, Dora is intrigued by her uncle's suspicious behaviour and enlists the help of Edward Lawrence, a young antiquarian scholar. For Edward, the ancient vase is a key to unlocking his professional future. For Dora, it's a chance to restore the shop to its former glory and to escape her nefarious uncle. But what Edward discovers about the vase has Dora questioning everything she has believed about her life, her family, and even the world as she knows it. So yeah, this took on the Pandora's vase or box, which actually historians believe that it wouldn't have been a box, it would have been a vase, more than likely. And using that as like the key to this story. Now, some of the comments at book club was that they felt like the Pandora's box part of this story was a bit shoehorned in. I enjoyed it. It was okay. It was good. My keywords for this is historical, myth-inspired, suspense, and mystery. So this is like a historical mystery thriller suspense kind of story. I liked the characters, and I liked how they developed throughout the story. Pandora gets more Dora gets more confident throughout, and the relationship between her and Edward, because of course, why not, develops nicely, and her uncle, who is really a nasty piece of work, is you know, I like what happens. I like what happens. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, I gave this one 3 stars as well. The next book I read, I did it. I know a lot of people have literally unhauled this when they got it from Fairyloot, because it had so many bad reviews that people were like, nope, not even going to bother reading it. But I did. I kept it, because you know what? There have been some books that have had bad reviews that I've received from Fairyloot, but when I've picked them up, I've thoroughly enjoyed them. This was not one of them. So, Bright and the Pale. My notes on this one say, surprisingly enjoyed it, and I did, and I would be interested in the sequel. Liked the relationships between the characters and the tension of the situation the lead character found herself in. The key words were loyalties, lies, and fighting for survival. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that I loved it. I liked it. It was okay. And if I were to find the sequel to this, either at the library, or if I could get the audiobook or borrow the ebook or something like that, I probably would give it a read. It's only a duology, so it wouldn't take too much for me to be able to finish the duology. I wouldn't say it's as bad as people were saying. I did enjoy it. I did like it. If you're looking for a book that fits that frosty, cold kind of atmosphere, this is one of those books. It has been 2 months since I read this book, so my remembering of the characters and what happened, a little bit hazy, but that's because I have a poor memory, not because of the book itself. But yeah, I did enjoy it, and yes, I would continue on, but I'm not on the hunt. Like, I'm not rushing out to find the sequel. That's all. I did give it just 3 stars, but as I say, I was in a slump, so you've got to take that into account. So 3 stars for The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinowski. Very shiny cover and beautiful edges. And last but not least, I dropped my TBR. I think I had quite a few books on my February TBR, but I dropped everything when this was delivered. So just going to take a moment for the beauty that is this cover. Look at it. So gorgeous. This is the 3rd and final book in the Musai series by E.J. Mello. This is Symphony for a Deadly Throne, and this follows the 3rd and oldest sister of the Musai. I can't tell you too much about this book because, you know, spoilers, but if I can encourage just one person to pick up this trilogy and read it, I will be very, very happy. I posted on Instagram that this book had arrived and I was dropping my TBR so I could pick this straight up. And I tagged E.J. Mello in it, not thinking anything, just tagged her because she is the author. And she replied. She left a message on my Instagram post saying, "Hope you enjoy it." If I could get these signed, oh my god, what I wouldn't give to get these signed. I love this series. This series is amazing. So I can't give you a synopsis for this series, but it is basically about 3 sisters who no, I'm not giving synopsis. What am I doing? The end of the trilogy, focusing on the eldest sister Arabessa and her love to her family, the Thief Kingdom, the Musai, and to Zimri, the orphan boy adopted by her father. Keywords are responsibilities, choices, and secrets. So yes, I mean, this wasn't technically on my February TBR, as I say, because I kind of dropped everything for it. So I will give you a gentle synopsis of this series. So basically you are in each book following one of the three sisters. These three sisters are daughters to the Thief Kingdom, the king of the Thief Kingdom. But in the Thief Kingdom, everybody wears masks, so nobody knows who anybody is. And the three sisters all have powers. So one has power through music, which is Arabessa. One has power through her voice, which is the middle sister called... oh geez. What was her name? Naya. And then there was the youngest sister who has power through her voice, which is Lycaira. My favourite book is Naya's story, which is the second book in the sequel. But the thing that really captured me with these books, they are independently published by Montlake. I got these off Amazon. They need to be picked up by a proper publisher. Swear down if Fairyloot do a special edition of these books. I will beg, borrow and steal to get them. What was I going to say? Yeah, the thing that really pulled me into these books is the first line of the books. They just really sort of like pull you in, especially of the first book. When I read the first line in the first book, I was like instantly, this is different. This is not your normal fantasy romance. This is different. And I loved it. So I will say that it didn't get 5 stars because, as I say, the second book in the series was my favourite and I gave that one 5 stars. So I gave this one 4 stars, but she's close. She's close to a 5. But I was in a reading slump at the time as well. So yes, loved it. Pick up the series. Honestly, you won't regret it. So, all that being said, let's move on to the statistics. So first of all, I want to give you the statistics, and I haven't done this before, for the point system that I use for my book hauls. So if you don't know, for the last 2 years, I have been using a point system that one of my lovely subscribers called Karen created, and she posted it on her Instagram. And at the time, I was desperately needing something to help me control my book buying. So when she posted this new system that she had devised, I asked her if I could use the same point system, and she said yes, and that is what I have been using. Now, I have got a video explaining that point system for you. So again, I will try and link that for you in the description box below. If it's not, please shout me out and I will get it done. And so each book that I read accumulates points for hitting certain criteria. And then at the end of the month, I total all the points up. And then for every 200 points, I get 1 book allowance for my book buying. So just to let you know, Satan's Affair, the ebook, got me 25 points. Holy Sister got me 80 points. Pandora got me 55 points. The Bright and the Pale only got me 10 points. And Symphony for a Deadly Throne got me 105 points. So I had a total of 275 points, which was just 1 book allowance. So that meant I could only purchase 1 book in March. I bought a few more than that, but shh, that's another video. So let's get on to the normal statistics. So the total number of books I read was 5. The worst reading month I've had since 2019. Like I say, I just didn't have the brain power or the concentration to sit and read for very long. The physical pages I read was 1,111, all the ones. The ebook pages I read was just that Satan's Affair, which was 197. And the audio hours of the book that I owned, which was Holy Sister, was 13 hours and 54 minutes. There was 0 hours of borrowed books. The ratings, there was no 5 stars, 1 4-star, and 4 3-star. And obviously there was no 2 stars, no 1 stars, and I did not DNF a book. So even though I was in a reading slump, I still managed to finish everything that I picked up. The genres of the books I read, all 5 were fantasy. Plain and simple. Even Pandora's Box, I put that down as a fantasy, even though actually thinking about it, it should have actually gone down as either a contemporary or a thriller. But to me, it didn't seem thrillerish. And because there was that suggestion of Pandora's Box and it having these powers, I think that's why I put it down as a fantasy, but I don't think that actually it was. I think it might have just been a contemporary, but never mind. Anyway, the origin of the books, I borrowed 1, which was Satan's Affair, because obviously that's an ebook. I don't own it physically. And 4 I do own physically. The format of the books I read, 3 I read physically, 1 I listened to audibly, and 1 I read ebookily. No, that's my word. The bindings of these books, 1 was hardback and 3 were paperback. And of course, there was 1 that was virtual. And the genders of the authors I read, 1 was male and 4 were female. On to the other statistics. So the longest book I read was actually Pandora. You'd have thought that it would have been the hardback, but no. This totaled 401 pages. The shortest book was, of course, the ebook of Satan's Affair at 197 pages. The oldest book was Holy Sister from back in April 2019. So it's not the oldest book I've read, but it was the oldest of these 5 that I read in February. And the newest was, of course, Symphony for a Deadly Throne, because it had just been published, I had just received it, and I dropped everything to read it. And I don't do that often. I am the sort of person who waits eagerly for a pre-order to come, to be delivered. I probably pre-ordered it as soon as it was announced, because those beautiful sprayed edges, you know, that I tend to fall for all the time. This one doesn't, but it was indie published, so we can let it go. But you know, when I order the beautiful hardbacks from Waterstones, I pre-order them months and months and months in advance. Then I receive them and I'm so excited for them. They look amazing. And then they go on my shelf to wait until Bookgammon lets me read them. That has to change this year. I have to change that. So yeah, so that came out in February this year. The highest rated on Goodreads was Holy Sister. And I'm guessing it's probably because if you've got to book 3 in a series, it's because you enjoy the series. So that could be a reason why it got a Goodreads rating at time of taking the information down, 4.32 out of 5. And the lowest, can we guess? Can we really guess? Yeah, you're right. It was The Bright and the Pale, and this had a Goodreads rating at time of taking this information of 3.44. So it's not a bad one. It's like a 3.5 stars out of 5. So although it has had some bad reviews, it's not that bad. I've seen lower ratings for other books before, so I don't know, if you do have this on your shelf and the synopsis does slightly intrigue you, give it a go. Don't let those bad reviews put you off. I really do think that on a reread, I might enjoy this a bit better, because if I try and read it when I'm not in a slump, I think it might actually be good. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep it. It's a Fairy edition, so yeah. But my least favourite was The Bright and the Pale, at the 3 stars. I had 4 3 stars, so it was a sort of like, they were all good, but I had to pick the one that I was like, but to be honest, it could have been any of them. It could have been Holy Sister, it could have been Satan's Affair, it could have been any one of them being my least fave. But at the moment of taking these notes down, I decided on The Bright and the Pale. And of course, my favourite of the month, I need to reread this series. I do. Kind of matches my nails as well. Look at that. Ooh, that wasn't planned. Look at that. And if you want to know what's on my nails, you will just have to subscribe and look out for my Project Panicure for update in April this month. So normally I think I post Project Panicure on the 18th of the month. So yeah, subscribe and you will find out what beautiful nails I have that match this book. There you go. There's an incentive to subscribe. So that is it. That is my reading wrap up for February. It is late, but it is what it is. Sometimes, you know, life grabs you by the horns, my hidden horns, because I am no angel. I'm definitely a little devil, and just gives you a good shake and says, yeah, priorities. So yeah, that's what I read. Have you read any of these books? Or after my review, will you be picking any of these books up? Highly recommend the E.J. Mello Musai series if you can get your hands on it. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.